Wow, thank you. Thanks for the warm welcome. It is indeed a great pleasure to be here, and I feel at home. Wow. No, where do I start? So I'm a former journalist, as you have said. My academic background is largely around communications, but I took keen interest in sustainable development, wanting to know more about how corporates could contribute better to society. And as you have mentioned, that's the role I then assumed with Anglo American, which is a global mining company in South Africa. I then moved on to Samsung Electronics Africa. That's how, around 2011, back then I used to travel a lot, and that's how I even got to know Deborah Zaid and Bischoff too. We were doing a number of programs, community development programs there. And I then moved into the regulatory space, through public affairs. So there is a lot of interconnectedness. Once you are in this communication space, regulatory, corporate citizenship, public affairs, it's more or less the same. And beyond then, I then joined MultiChoice Africa in the role that I'm currently in. And even when I was pursuing my academics, I did a master's in business administration, specializing for my research on corporate social investment. It's quite close to my heart. And even when I did my PhD, my Doctor of Philosophy degree, the focus of my research was also anchored around corporate social responsibility. So this is something that I believe that the world will become a better place if corporates also do their utmost best. We don't just let and leave things in the hands of governments, but we also come in a collaborative spirit to work in a public-private partnership model to really contribute where we can. Yeah, no, you are right. I think so. Ours, within the regulatory role of MultiChoice Africa, is to ensure that our company, MultiChoice Africa, complies with the laws of regulators across the continent. Each and every country has rules which you need to adapt to. And those regulatory laws or legislation is informed by cultures in certain markets, by lived experiences, by the way the people perceive life and their aspirations. So you don't just say the laws that we apply in Ethiopia will be the same as the laws in South Africa and the same in Zambia. There are areas of commonality, but there are also areas of difference. I will make an example. In other markets, they don't have a problem when you show content that has, gay or LGBTIQ. In some countries, there is no problem. But in other countries, they are more sensitive. So our role is to respect all markets for their sensitivities and comply with the regulatory prescripts in those markets. So as a responsible corporate citizen, which we believe we are and we always aspire to be as MultiChoice, we at all times ensure that we align with the ethos and values of every market where we operate, so that we genuinely resonate with the people, with our audiences, as we bring them the content they love. And driven by our motto, our ethos of wanting to be, being Africa's best loved storyteller. Yes, no, by all means. So, with every good thing, there are always unintended consequences. So, we are now in a world where we, as broadcasters, pay TV, we would go out there, invest a lot in content, in production of local content, acquisition of international spotlight. The challenge occurs when you have others who, through the evolution of technology, begin to involve themselves in crime. Piracy is a crime, whether it's in the form of broadcast piracy, which can be either secondary broadcasting, which can either be through cable, or cyber, where people now start streaming our content illegally. There is an introduction of TV sticks and all this manner of devices which enable, unfortunately, people to consume our content through channels which are not legitimate. So what it does is that it robs not only MultiChoice Africa, but it robs governments, because pirate sites don't pay tax. Pirate sites don't create jobs. If anything, they destroy jobs. In a film set, or when shooting a most favorite local content piece, you have makeup artists, cameramen, script writers, actors, catering, drivers. All these have secondary and third tier beneficiaries at home. Now, when you pirate content, when you commit this act of crime, and as a consumer, when you support this criminal act by consuming that pirated content, you are participating in the destruction of livelihoods. It is not any different from killing. It's a crime. You are killing hopes, you are killing dreams, you are killing jobs, you are killing aspirations, you are killing an industry and a sector. So it is something that is growing at a very fast pace globally. And it is quite unfortunate that in the African continent, it is also moving at an alarming pace. And that is why today we had an historic moment of signing a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Sports, Arts and Culture in Ethiopia, as well as with the IP, organization, to join hands. You cannot fight it alone. You need a multi-sectoral approach. And that is the beauty of what we have witnessed here today. No, it will help. The collaborative nature of the MOU will help with detection, with bringing about, law enforcement agencies were required to combat this type of an issue. It will help with public awareness because based on our different mandate as organizations, we touch the community, we touch the public on different intervals and different topics. So everywhere the ministry goes, they will be able to champion the message through awareness programs. We will do the same in the IP Institute. And what is also of importance is to note that regulation, laws follow technology. What I mean is right now we are dealing with the rise of artificial intelligence. It is not a bad thing. We are dealing with broadband penetration and growth, internet. It is definitely not a bad thing. But when it is used in a bad and in a wrong way, that's where the problem comes in. So having different stakeholders around the table, we are able to see ways of stopping it at source. Through government, we will then have engagement with telecommunication companies to say, this internet piracy happens through your platforms. How can we then pull each other on and try to block these pirate sites at source? Because if telcos can come to the party, if some of these over-the-top platforms, the OTTs, can also come to the party to say, no, if you are going to stream pirated content on my platform, it's a legitimate platform, but you use it for piracy, we are going to block those sites through IP tracking and all of that. You can't do it alone. And that is at the heart of historical MOU signing is helpful. And it actually sets a very good example to many other countries where they can emulate what we have achieved with the Ethiopian government, and we can replicate it in other markets. Yeah. So it all starts with the realization that uh, the stories and the content you dish out, you provide needs to resonate with the people. Africans, we love to see ourselves, we love to hear ourselves and our stories because we have diverse backgrounds. Even in one country, in Ethiopia, you have different subsets, cultural subsets, languages, experiences, and all of that. So the attainment, the real attainment of African Renaissance can only be achieved through what we consume. That's why it's called programming on television. It has a powerful way of also programming societal outlook because you see, content on television mirrors society, and society, by extension, mirrors the content. So it's a circle.
Yeah.
It's a circle. What happens on television influences behavior, and behavior influences what happens on television. So it then has to be positive, just like a diet or anything else, right? The healthy, the more healthy your diet, the healthy you are. The same applies to content. You cannot subject society to content that is not harmful, not constructive, and expect positive results. So through the MultiChoice Talent Factory, which I must say, Ethiopia is one of the markets where we've had great success. Our alumni from the Talent Factory, they have gone to participate even in Ethiopia in the production of a number of local production pieces, even outside the MultiChoice stable, which is good because we don't train selfishly, we train for society. They've even went on to participate in international fora where they've performed. So with the MultiChoice Talent Factory, we use it as a platform to harness talent, to train Ethiopians in this context on filmmaking, script writing, so that they understand what really happens behind the scenes. Now, it takes us back to the point of piracy. The pirates, the thieves, because that's really who they are, they don't have a piracy talent factory. They don't, because they are involved in illegal things. But if anything, through the piracy that is growing, you are going to start, unfortunately, seeing noble programs such as the Talent Factory disappearing because they can only exist when MultiChoice is performing well as a business, because corporate social investment is a function of a healthy commercial entity. Now, if piracy is eating like a cancer, is eating into our business, unfortunately, you will end up seeing that type of development disappear. We've brought a number of, a lot of programs which I believe you would be familiar with. The adaptation of the river, in Ethiopia, which was dubbed, it originates in South Africa, but it was brilliantly localized, brilliantly localized into the local culture and language. So we pride ourselves. We pride ourselves even at the regional level. Wherein you start having content that is even, that resonates on a regional level based on the similarities in culture that you would find even across the borders. So that in a way goes a long way. No, there's a lot. There's a lot that we do. I think, and it's even at the level of group, even at the level of our local markets, employee volunteerism. There are such programs which are often done even just at the local office level. There would be, where markets are commercially performing well, where it's possible, the affording of bursaries for the advancement of studies, the development of local sport in many of our market, just to make sure that it's one thing to have a camera and say you are going to broadcast a tournament, a football, soccer tournament. But if there is no football or soccer existing in a particular community, there's nothing to broadcast. So it's an ecosystem wherein you have to take a step back and actually get involved in the actual development of sport so that you have something to broadcast, but most importantly, you keep the youth out of the streets and doing wrong things. So there has been quite a number of initiatives we have done, and we still believe we can do more. We can do more, particularly when this scourge and scourge of piracy begins to disappear.
Mistake at the back, yes again! Sends it wide.
No, MultiChoice has been present in Ethiopia since the early 1990s. So it's been a while. And Ethiopia, like any other market, would have its ups and downs. There would be cycles of prosperity and cycles of regrouping. But what I think is the most important thing to note is we have stayed the course. And this is often the difference between, tried and tested Pan-African entities like ourselves, and sometimes some of the companies, I will not call by name, that come from anywhere or from elsewhere. They are not so invested in the continent. They just dip in. If things don't work out, they immediately dip out. We all know those examples, but we have our skin in the game. Ethiopia is a country of great opportunity, but I must say, unfortunately, it's one of the countries or markets in our business portfolio where we have also suffered the most in recent times due to piracy, and that is why we are so comforted to see the responsiveness of government in wanting to put an end to this. So you can see that it's not only about focusing on the negatives. They are there, they are real, but there are also positives. And the positives are what brought us here today, to see how we can all jointly navigate out of this problem. I think Africa is a melting pot of cultures, of uniqueness, of ancient wisdom and ancient indigenous knowledge systems. Scholars often, argue through various research dating back to many, many years ago that life began in Africa and civilization, and Ethiopia being regarded as the land of origins. That you have to be here to experience it. You have to be here to experience it in person. Africa is a feeling. It's something you have to feel, to comprehend. So there is no place like home. There is always a lot to learn. Not just Africa is definitely the opposite of monotonous. It is the direct opposite of monotonous, because you'll never know. I've been to Ethiopia, I don't know how many times now, but every time I come, there is something new that I learn. There is a cultural nuance that I live having absorbed and having learned. So I think more than anything else, in conclusion, Africans are very resilient. Africans are very resilient people. You can look at the African history, what most, if not all, African countries have gone through. But you still meet, when you arrive, you are welcomed warmly with a smile, and it just shows who we are as a people. Yes.
I want to ask this final question.
Yes. I think it's important to first know thyself. And in this, period and moment of technological advancement, unfortunately, the downside is lack of reflection. Young and old, there is no longer reflection. When people have to reflect, they're either browsing on their smartphones, to an extent where actually phones are becoming smarter than human beings.
Sadly,
which is quite unfortunate. So I think we first need to stop and reflect, because the key distinction between human beings and animals is the faculty of reason, is intellect. That is why human beings are able to form speech and animals can't. It's because of the faculty of reason, which is intellect. Now, the moment our intellect or intellectual levels and stimulation drops, it effectively means we are becoming less human. And when you think of it more carefully, it actually begins to explain why the world is becoming so unsafe, chaotic. There is an erosion of values. It is because we are gradually losing the intellectual spark that actually makes us human. So to all the young people, and old listening, because it's never late to develop, it's important to note that what you do every day brings you closer or further to your dream. So you cannot spend 5 days playing soccer if you want to become the best fine artist or the best actor. If you want to become a best actor, you would then have to spend most of your time doing that which you want to become. In short, I'm just saying it's important to fall in love with your destiny. And I can show it to you in a simple way. You see, now we are exposed to short form kind of content.
True.
You know, in the past, we used to have the appetite and the stamina to watch a movie 1.5 hours, 1 hour, or even an episode, 30 minutes or 2 hours. But nowadays, everything is 30 seconds. Everything is 30 seconds. What that does, it alters people's attention span. It makes people more impatient and everything else that comes with it. Absolutely. So we have to embrace technology. It's quite important, but it's also important that we must be the drivers and must remain on the driver's seat as human beings and not the opposite, where now technology is driving us to a place of the unknown.
Congratulations and cheers for that.
Oh, thank
Yes,
you.
why
Cheers.
not?
Thank you. Why not? Cheers. Thank you.
So yeah. Again, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming today.
Thank
so much
you.
for visiting us. This is just the beginning again.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Cheers.
Much for today.
No, only a pleasure. Thank you.